How's it going, guys? It's Chunky here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about MultiSystem. This is a really awesome utility that is kind of like SafeStrap and works on a bunch of Samsung devices. Basically, it allows you to have multiple systems or virtual systems on your device, even if your device has a locked bootloader. The requirements to do this are pretty simple. This is going to need to have 1, root access, and 2, an SD card, micro external SD card on your device. That's pretty much it. It's a little tricky to get set up, and that's basically why I'm doing this video. This does function on the Samsung Galaxy S4, S5, Note 3, and I think there's development happening on the Note 4. Not quite fully functional there yet, but I'm sure that'll happen really soon. So many variants. Definitely you got to check out the threads. I'll link everything in the video description. But on that note, let's go do this video. The first step to setting up MultiSystem on your device is to get your SD card prepared for it. So this is my Note 3, and I'm going to go ahead and pull off my back cover and pull out my micro SD card. Now you can see it got removed. I've got this little card reader I like to use, and I'm going to stick it in there, and we're going to stick this into my computer to do this next step. And we got to repartition this card. So I'm going to go ahead and hook it up. Now, while it is doing that, I want to point out that there is another way to do this. I'm just going to show you through the computer because I think it's a better process. But you can also do this through Aparted, this application right here. And I'll give you guys a link to it in the video description. It is a rooted application. And basically, it's probably going to show nothing because I just took my card out. So you can see it doesn't show any information because there's not a card in there. But if you wanted to use it, you could use this tool to do the same thing. You just go through some of the configurations and the creating and so on. So I'm not going to walk through that, but just want to show you this is a way to do it out of computer. Alright? Basic principles are going to be applied the same. So let's go ahead and do this on my computer and repartition our card. Alright, so here we go. This is the windows you're going to need. Let me just show you everything that you're going to need. Basically, you're going to need to download the MultiSystem application, which we'll put on the phone. You're going to need to download this file, which is actually the MiniTool Partition Wizard, and this is what we're actually going to use to partition the device, or I should say to partition the SD card. Now, right here it says removable disk H. This is your drive number. Very important. This is the drive you just stuck in there, the SD card. So what I would say is go ahead and open it up, and anything you have on it, like right here, I would copy it, and I'd pick another folder, like maybe right here I'd say new folder SD card, right? And then I'd paste it in here, just so you have everything backed up. Alright, that way if you had any pictures on there, anything in there is going to back up. So do that first. It's always better. Basically, I'm going to give you links to all this, so just make sure you double check the video description. It's going to have links to everything you're going to need, and just download anything in there because it's what you're going to need. So once you install it right here, this exe file, you're going to be left with this partition wizard right here. And this is what we're going to use to partition the H drive because that's what we're on. Make sure you know your drive letter. So I'm going to open it up, and then I'm just going to say launch application. And like I said, I'm just going to walk you through how to do this. It's very simple. Alright, so first thing you got to do, this is super critical because you do not want to mess up your computer. Okay, make sure you are on the correct drive. So right now it's highlighting my backup drive, my drive I still have my data. We don't want to mess with that one. The next drive here, this is my solid state drive for my system. I don't want to mess with that either. This drive right here is, as you can see, lettered H, which is what we wanted, and it has a couple partitions in it, and it's because I've already done this step, but I'm going to start it over. So you're going to have maybe one partition, maybe two. Like you can see there's two different partitions here, but make sure you highlight the correct one, the right letter. You can see it is for me. And then we're going to come in here and we're just going to go ahead and hit delete, and we're going to hit delete, and now you have this unallocated drive. Okay, makes sense? And you have a total of, well, mine's a 16 gig SD card. This is 14.6 gigs. So that's what you have actually on a 16 gig SD card. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to partition this. So we're going to go in here and we're going to click create. Alright, and then we're going to do a couple different things. We're going to go to primary, and we're going to make this one a FAT32, and I think the rest of that looks okay. Let me see here. Yep, that looks great. So we're going to go ahead and finish and hit OK. So I've got this FAT32 drive, right? Which is probably what yours was originally, but anyway, you need to have FAT32. Alright, so then we're going to come down here and we're going to change it. So we're going to go in here and go say move resize, and I'm just going to shrink it down. So what this is going to become, this FAT32 partition, is going to become your actual SD card, and then there's what's going to be left is another partition that you're going to use for multi-system. So I just made according to my phone's now going to say I have a 5 gig micro SD card for external storage. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to say OK. And now I have another whole unallocated drive. So this one I need to partition differently. So I need to partition this one. Go ahead and say create. And it says Windows can't see yada yada yada. Don't worry about it because Windows, we're not using it on Windows. We're using it on your phone. So hit continue. And we're going to go to primary again. This time we're going to choose ext4, and we're going to partition that whole space and go ahead and say OK. And now we've done it. So now we have our FAT32 partition, which is going to become our new SD card, and then we have our extent 4 or ext4 partition, which is going to become our file system for multi-system. And basically, if you want to install one round with multi-system, then you're probably going to need anywhere about 4 gigs or less. So I've put about 10 in here, so I could probably install 2, maybe even 3, depending on my phone, different multi-systems on my device, which is really, really cool. And it doesn't use up your internal storage like SafeStrap would. This actually installs these multi-systems on your SD card. So, big idea to get a decent SD card as well. From here, it's very simple. Make sure this is all you've changed, and just go ahead and click up here and hit apply. And it's going to apply these changes. So until this point, nothing actually has changed. This is going to go ahead and write everything. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And it's going to go ahead and do it. This is going to take a while. It says I have six processes pending. I'll come back to it as soon as it wraps up. So once you guys are done, you're going to be left with this: applied all pending changes successfully. There you go. Looks good, right? Hit OK. And you can close out your tool. Then what I would do is come back into your SD card backup right here. Go ahead and copy all of this. Go down to your computer drive. You should have this H right there. That's the external SD card. Well, oh man, it's gonna give me a headache, probably because I need to remount it. So let's unplug it and plug it back in. And we'll open the file there. That time it worked. So I'll paste these in, and basically there you go. You still have all your stuff on your external SD card. You're obviously a little bit smaller, but you're pretty much rocking it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Alright, let's go ahead and take the card out again. Quick link, dink, and put it back in our phone. And now you should be ready to go ahead and install multi-system on your device now that we have everything set up. So that is very cool. Let's go ahead and walk through some more prerequisites and installing multi-system now that our SD card is fully partitioned correctly. So some of the stuff I want to point out to you guys right now is a lot of these applications I have installed here. You're almost going to need all of these to finish this process of getting multi-system installed on your device. So it doesn't have to be these exact ones, but you're pretty much going to need it. I mean, you're definitely going to need BusyBox. You're going to need Terminal Emulator. Obviously, you already have root access, so you're going to have SU. or SuperSU. Root Checker is optional. Solid Explorer is optional. You just need a File Explorer just because it's going to be helpful for you. And then FlashFire is again optional, but it does work really well with MultiSystem, so you just more information to be aware of. Okay? Alright, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up BusyBox, and you can just close this down. Now it does do like this auto install. Don't worry about that. Just hit the install button down here. And this is going to go ahead and install BusyBox on your device. Alright, beautiful. Close that out and just go home. Alright, next what you're going to do is you're going to open up MultiSystem. And you can read through this. It's probably a good idea to do that. And you're going to come right down here to where it says Install MultiSystem. So go ahead and hit that button. And now I would say just wait for about 2 to 3 minutes. During that process, it's going to go ahead and install MultiSystem, and then we're going to do some checks to make sure MultiSystem is functional on our device. And then also, after it's done installing, I would say come down here about after 2 minutes and hit this update configuration. And this is something you're going to want to hit pretty often anytime you're messing with any of the settings here in MultiSystem. Along with that, something I'd want to note is maybe you want to go up here to settings and say run on boot. Boot commands enabled. That was probably very important to make sure that is checked on. And then you have virtual systems. But first we're going to make sure that it is all installed and functioning correctly. And to do that, we're going to use a couple different applications. One of them is Terminal Emulator. And you can use it actually from the application. See, there's a lot in here about flashing zips and wiping data, yada yada yada, rebooting and everything. But we're going to go ahead and launch Terminal Emulator, and you can do it from the application if you have Terminal Emulator installed, obviously. So here it is installed. So we're going to type in SU to get root access, and then we're going to type in multi. This is capital M, system, capital S, and make that all, it's all one word. Then a space, status, with no capital. Oh, I typed that wrong. Status. Man, I'm bad today. Alright, and it's lowercase, all lowercase for status. Then hit enter. And this basically, if this comes up, it means you're working well, okay? So there's some things you're going to want to note. One of them is current system image, and it says stock and tells you some information. Then the next thing it's going to tell you is current system dev. So it's going to be dev block, and it's going to say probably 0p, something like that. Anyway, and then it tells you have MultiSystem mount, some information there. So those 3 lines are going to be your real good takeaways you're going to want to know about. So this means that MultiSystem is functioning. Now, if you're on a virtual system, it's normally going to say dev block loop something or another. Okay, that's going to be your giveaway to know if you're on a different ROM. Or I should say a virtual ROM. Alright, so we closed out of, if I can get, there we go. We closed out of terminal, and we're going to go ahead and check another spot. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to go into the root of our browser, root directory. We're going to scroll down, and you should see this folder right here called MultiSystem. If you click on MultiSystem, this is like the system, I guess. It's hard to explain it. But this is all the files for MultiSystem to function, and they get installed by clicking that install button. And then we're going to go ahead and look in images, and we're going to look into system. And this is what I want to point out. This is where your virtual systems will be stored. They are in the form of images. So this is the one I have already created. Now, to create those, let's talk about that really quick. You're going to come in here, and you're going to come up here to where it says virtual system. You're going to go ahead and enable it. There you go, it is enabled. And then you're going to come down here where it says create. Now I've already done this. This process takes about 20 minutes. And what's going to happen is you're going to click the create button, and you're going to see a little LED come up on the top of your phone. That's going to stay on for 15-20 minutes while it creates this image. This image is 2 to 4 gigs depending on your device, and it takes quite a bit of time to do it. And on that note, you want to make sure that you come into settings and turn on, go to display, and where is it at? Timeout for a screen. Make sure it's on 10 minutes before you start the process. You really don't want your screen going off or dimming while it is creating this virtual image. Alright, so once you've created a virtual image, you can come up here to primary system image and secondary system image, virtual system image I should say, and you can come in here and you can see there's the one I've created. I'm going to go ahead and select it, and there it is selected. So what's going to happen now is I'll be able to boot to this virtual system image on my device. Besides that, I'm just going to quickly cover a little bit more information here on the device. You can go ahead and here wipe cache, delve data, all that kind of stuff through it. You can flash things to it, so you can mount your stock system, mount stock, or mount your virtual system right there. So there's some information on that. Mount image, which one you want to mount. Boy, a whole bunch of partitioning things. Right here you can go ahead and flash things through this, which is pretty cool, with different zips. So you can flash them to virtual systems. You can select what you're flashing. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Here you can launch FlashFire. If you have the beta version of that, you can use it to flash things as well. And just some log information and rebooting information. Alright, so we've got all that. Everything right now should be set to boot to our virtual system. So to do this, we're just going to go ahead and reboot system. Go ahead and reboot. And what you're going to see is you're going to see this little LED up here change. So I'm going to get my fingers ready, and basically it's going to go green, and when it does, I'm going to hit the volume up button. Just take it, and it's probably going to stay green for 3 to 5 seconds, so just kind of keep hitting it while it's green. Now yours may be different, but it should be on the same screen and it should have an LED, so the color just may be different. So now that I've done that, we're going to actually boot to the virtual ROM. That's what's going to happen here, okay? Which is really cool. Now, anytime you reboot your device, it'll just default to whatever your last setup is, either virtual or stock. But you can always pick it on that boot screen with the LED. You can either hit volume up for the virtual ROM, primary ROM, volume down for the secondary, if you want to have multiple ROMs, and or virtual systems, and then home would give you the stock system with unedited whatever you had on your device before you installed multi-ROM. So, makes sense? So now, I don't know if you noticed that, but I didn't have the Verizon splash screen. That's something I did, is I changed the boot animation so that I don't have that, so I know if I'm on a different ROM. Because basically the rest of this all looks the same. Your data across the ROMs all stay, or all across the virtual systems all stay, and you're just changing the system. So just kind of understand that's basically how it works. So now we're going to go ahead and go into this and do another quick test to see if we're on the correct system. So to do that, we're going to open up Terminal Emulator. We should, like I said, be on the virtual system, and wait for a prompt. Basically, we're going to go in there and check that status one more time. So we're going to go su, enter, and then we're going to type in our MultiSystem space status, hit enter, and now you can see it's different. So now you says your image is that stock image, the image we created. Then it also says your current dev block is loop 0. That is the multi-system. So you're not mounting your normal stock system, you're mounting this created system on dev block loop 0. So that's basically what multi-system does. And now anything you change in system, so I'll show you. Here's your file browser again. So anytime, now that you're in the virtual system, anytime you come down here to system, anything you change in here is being changed on that image, which is pretty cool, and then not changed on stock. And that's the reason you're doing this, so that you can go ahead and do all of your modifications to this virtual system instead of the stock system, and you'll always be safe if you mess something up. That is the beauty of multi-system. That is the main reason for using it, along with being able to do updates and keep root access and some other cool tricks that you can do with it as well. So there you go, guys. That is going to be my full, long-winded multi-system video. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope it gave you enough great information that you feel like maybe this is something you could put on your device. I want to give a big props to the developer. He's done some awesome work on this, and I'm sure he's going to be doing more improvements as the days go on with multi-system and giving us progress bars and other things to really give you some smoother interface to work with on multi-system. There you go. That's going to wrap it up for me, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Rude Junkie out.